Joey McGuire and crew continue to add speed and versatility to the class of 2025 for Texas Tech. This time in Ida High School, three-star cornerback Deante Lindsay. In today's video, we'll talk about his skill set, look at some of his film from his junior season, as well as take an overall look at the team rankings for the 2025 Texas Tech football recruiting class. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here for the Back to 12 podcast. If you want to stay in the know on everything Texas Tech all year long, whether it's on the gridiron or the hardwood, we've got you covered right here on the largest group of Texas Tech fans on YouTube. And oh, by the way, the most engaging, giving you 100% free daily Texas Tech videos. No other YouTube channels doing that. So join the fun by simply liking the video, hitting that subscribe button, and maybe most importantly, turning on that notification bell. All right, let's jump right into it because I think Deante Lindsay is a very interesting recruit from a lot of standpoints, but let's just give the rundown of what Texas Tech got with this commitment. 6'1.5", 165 pounds, and of course, you know if Joey McGuire and crew like him and they want to add him to the secondary, he's going to be a multi-sport athlete. Actually, Lindsay plays 3 sports, football, basketball, and he runs track. He's actually the Oklahoma 4A 300-meter hurdle silver medalist as a junior, running the time and, well, the event, I should say, in under 40 seconds, 39.97 to be exact. He is a long, rangy corner that has a high football IQ. And don't believe me, let's just jump right into it in terms of what he can do on the football field. Because you're going to notice a couple of things here when you see this. All right, look at this. He's always looking at the quarterback here. And he gets that little touch on the wide receiver and then knows he has safety help over the top. That's high football IQ. And then look at this. When mama comes calling, where do you go? You go home. That's where he takes this ball. Go home ball, a.k.a. the end zone. Now you can see on the offensive side of the football where he had 36 catches, 859 yards, 13 touchdowns. That's a basically 24-yard per reception pace. Absolutely has some jets. Now you see him right here, a little bit of off coverage, but he is in perfect position, sheds the defender, goes in there, and creates a turnover right there. He had 5 interceptions as a junior, and he had that forced fumble right there as well. Look at his eyes, though. He is always looking in the backfield at the quarterback and baits him perfectly right there for one of those 5 interceptions in his junior campaign. Now, you're going to see some more interesting things here. This is on the offensive side, and when I watch him play, I can think to myself and see it, hey, he could probably play wide receiver. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in just a second because he is coming to Texas Tech as a corner. Look at this, baits the quarterback, goes back into his soft zone, and then boom, baits the quarterback into a bad INT, doesn't take that one to the house. Apparently mama was busy and didn't call that night. Now, look at this one, off coverage, and this isn't the greatest throw in the world. I've seen better throws from high school quarterbacks, but it's the play and really reading the ball and going up and making that play. Then right here, he sheds off a defender to come in and make a play. And it's just one of those things where he's continuously around the ball. It seems like every play you see of him on film, he's in the right position and making the right play for his team. Now, again, some of his stats I mentioned, the receiving numbers there. He had 36 catches, 859 yards, 13 touchdowns, almost averaging 24 yards per catch. That's absolutely nuts. He also had 51 tackles, 5 interceptions, and also was on kick returns. Only had 5 opportunities. I don't blame teams for not kicking to him because he averaged 36.4 yards on those 5 kickoff returns. When I watch him, he feels like one of those guys, and I've actually had a couple of Texas Tech coaches talk to me about this where there's been quote-unquote fights between the coaches in terms of these athletes come in, these guys that are multi-sport athletes, guys that can come in and make an impact in a multitude of ways, right? Come in and the wide receiver coach, Juice may want him, for example. Well, Yates may want him in the secondary. There may be another position group that wants him, right? It feels like that's what Lindsay is going to be because when you look at Deante and his skill set, you saw it on tape right there. He could play on the offensive side of the ball. He's got ball skills out there as a wide receiver. He uses them to his benefit in the secondary there for Ida. He feels like one of those guys that really just fits what Texas Tech wants to a T in the secondary, which you can see at the bottom of the screen. They want length, speed, and versatility when it comes to the secondary. Is he going to have to add some weight? Obviously, and he'll do that when he gets in a college weight room. But from a skill set and traits perspective, I like what Deante Lindsay could offer Texas Tech. I don't think it's going to happen right away in terms of him being a starter or anything, but I think once you get him into a college weight room, really get him into strides in terms of that high-level football and having him focus on it, I think he could be a guy that over the next few years really impacts that Texas Tech secondary and the 2 deep, maybe 3 deep, and is an impact special teams guy and maybe even elevates more because he's got the skill set to do it. There's no doubt about it. I mean, they just absolutely love these guys. Does Texas Tech and the recruiting team, whether that's Brian Nance, James Blanchard, so on and so forth. All right, let's talk about where the 2025 Texas Tech football recruiting class ranks nationally. At the bottom of your screen, you can see the updated rankings after the Lindsay commitment. 247 Sports has the Red Raiders with a top 20 class, 19th overall in the country to be exact. Rivals comes in at 22nd, while On 3 is at 25. Now, this class is going to be a little bit interesting from this standpoint. You're going to see more guys added because Texas Tech has had really, at the time of this recording, which is Saturday, June 15th, 2 heavy official visitors weekends back-to-back, right? So you're going to see some guys, and I guess you really already have. Lindsay was on campus last weekend. You've got Bryson Jones, the 4-star wide receiver. You got Swade Griffin, the 3-star corner that also committed. So you've got a couple of guys there, and not to mention one silent commit that hasn't announced yet. But when you look at everything for Texas Tech, I think this is going to be a smaller class. What do I mean by that? I think this is probably going to be in the neighborhood of 18 to 19 commitments and signees, unless you land a guy or two that you were going after seriously, but maybe you thought was going to go somewhere else, but instead they decide to come to wear the scarlet and black out in the 806. If that's the case, I could see this class getting as high as 22. I don't think that's likely. I think the ceiling is 22, but I think the realistic ceiling, if that makes any sense, is probably 21. But when it comes down to it, don't be surprised if Texas Tech actually has a smaller class for the class of 2025. That way they can have a little bit more scholarship maneuverability when it comes to the portal and adding guys there as well. But the big news in this video is Deante Lindsay commits to the scarlet and black. Texas Tech lands their second 3-star cornerback in the past week. The aforementioned, Swade Griffin was the other one. And now there's one silent commit as the Red Raiders currently rank in the top 25 of all 3 major recruiting sites for their 2025 recruiting class. And McGuire and Crew just continue to motor on. And speaking of motor, anybody see Joey McGuire in the spider over at the Womble before a team event over on Buff's Twitter page? Man, nothing like it. Joey McGuire, man. Absolute stud. All right, that's going to do it for today's video. If you haven't already, be sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell because, listen, there's no other Texas Tech YouTube channel giving you daily videos, quick-hitting videos, by the way, in terms of the key information you need on everything Texas Tech football, men's basketball, whether it's on the gridiron, recruiting trail, hardwood, or the recruiting trail. We've got you covered right here on the largest group of Texas Tech fans and the most interactive group of Texas Tech fans on YouTube right here on the Back to 12 podcast channel.